value. Whether you're storing integer, whether you're storing a string, whether you're storing a float, we have to specify that. But here it is not required, guys. Why? Because as we discussed, R is a dynamically typed language. That means I'm not saying that R does not support data type. It will support the data type, but chosen dynamically by the R itself. Depending on the value we have given, automatically it is going to choose the required data type as it is. So what are the basic data types which are supported by R language? The first one is, it is going to be integer, guys. You know what are integers? Integers are nothing but which does not have any decimal point, including negative, positives, including 0, and we can have it like, for example, 10, which is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, any number. It is going to be 256 and so on, we can write it. They are called as integer types. That means whenever we have given any of this kind of a values, if you give it, our language R is going to be treat them as, which is going to be treat them as an integer type. The second one is something different from other languages, guys. We don't have, generally when you go to some languages, guys, really there is a lot of confusion with them. So really, even experts also, even who are having a high experience also, they'll get a lot of confusion with that. Just let me tell you. So in some languages, they call it as integer, they call it as float, they call it as decimal, and they call it as long, and they are going to call it as short. And still here also we are having signed, which is going to be signed long, it is going to be unsigned long, it is going to be like that. They will talk about too many types, they will talk about that. That will make a lot of confusion. So why, what is long, what is signed long, what is unsigned long? So instead of having all these things in our language, generally these languages are very simplified, guys. Everything they want to simplify that. That's why they did give it that many types. Simple, integer, double. Double is nothing but which is going to be what we can say that it is going to be which contains a decimal value. 10 point which is going to be 25, 1, 2, 3, 4 point which is going to be 46, or 256.05, so on. They are going to be what we call it as double types, guys. They are going to be double data types. And the third one is going to be, it's going to be string. String means generally we know that integer and doubles, they are going to come under the numerical values, numbers which contains only the digit from 0 to 9. And the third category is going to be, it's generally in other languages we call it as strings. Okay, in some languages we call it as the variable characters. So here in our language it is very, very simple, guys. It is simple, it is going to be character type. Character means which contains a set of characters, what we can have single character, or which is going to be set of characters. In some languages string is different, character is different. But here there is no difference, guys. And one more important thing is, a character can be enclosed either in double quotes or even single quotes. Both of them are allowed. In some languages, characters need to be represented in single quotes, strings need to be represented in double quotes. But here there is no such type of restriction. Simple, whether it is a single quote, double quotes, both of them are going to be allowed, which is what we are going to call it as a character type of data type. It's a character type, what we are going to call it as, guys. Next category, which is going to be nothing but what we are going to call it as, already yesterday we have seen logical. They are not boolean, they are called as logical, guys. Logical means nothing but it can be true or it can be false. Okay, let me write a case sensitive. You have to write true in capital case only, guys. True and false, or even you can also write it as T and F also we can write it as. You can write the true not only as a true, you can simply write T or F, anything is a fine, guys. So these are the specific, these are the four types which we are going to be exposing in that. Integer, double, character, and which is going to be logical. Capital case sensitive, don't put any double quotes. If you put the double quote for the true, it becomes a character but not like a logical. In other languages we call them as bool or boolean. Characters are generally in other languages we call it as strings. Doubles we are going to call it as floats and decimals. Integers only, guys. Okay, so this is the way how basically we can represent so the data types in our language, guys. Now one small change, guys, just to make a small change. By default, whenever I said I equal to 10, for example, look at this one, guys. Whenever I said I equal to 10, according to our discussion, it will treat it as an integer data type. But it won't treat it as integer. By default, this will be treated as a double. By default, it will be treated as a double, guys. It won't be treated as a integer. Then how can you take it as an integer? We have to, just a small change, guys. We have to suffix with L, not prefix, guys. It is suffix. You have to suffix with L, guys. L stands for long. So whenever we want to represent integers in our R language, don't write it as, just if you don't think that if you give 10, it will take it as an integer. No, we have to say 10L, we have to say, guys. 10L, 1, 2, 3, 4L. Actually, we have to suffix with L. So at the beginning itself, if I tell you, you may get confused with that. That's why I written as 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 256. But practically, we have to write it as 10L, 1, 2, 3, 4L, and 256L. That is the way we have to write it, guys. So that is the basic understanding of this particular, the so-called as this particular types, guys. Okay. So open the R, so the R console as usually. Open the R console. So this is going to be your R console, guys. So like I said, we have written what, all the commands and all these things. Control L, which is going to be clears your screen. Now say, guys, A equal to, which is going to be 10. But our main important point here is, how can you know that as we are discussing, we don't decide the data type, R will decide the data type. Then how can you know that whether it is an integer, whether it is a double, whether it is a character, whether it is a bool? How can you identify that? So for that, there is one small, important and very frequently used function, guys. So all of you have an idea about what are functions, guys. So our language is completely implemented only with the help of functions only. So functions are nothing but some piece of code. Whenever you want to perform some kind of a process or an operation, pass the input and get the output. You need not to write any code for that. So the first and most important function we are going to discuss is, guys, see that the name of the function is going to be type of. Type of is the name of the function, guys. If you give the variable, what it is going to tell you. Type of is a function which is going to return. It is going to return what is going to be the type of the variable. So whenever we want to ask, like what type of data type R has chosen for this. For example, if I said I equal to 10L, I want to know what type of data type it is. Simply you say type of is the name of the function and pass the input as I. It is going to tell you what type of data type it is. If it is 10, you will get the result as double. If you return as 10L, then we will get it as integer, we get it like this. So if you want to know what type it is, because it's a dynamically typed language. In other languages it is not required, because we already decided the data type, we already defined the data type by yourself. So you need not to define it again and again. You need not ask it, you know that it's an integer, it is a decimal. But here it is not like that. Our language chooses for that. See that, guys? It is going to be type of is the name of the function. Pass the A as an input if you pass. It will tell you what type of data type it is going to be. See that? It has been taken as a double type, not like an integer type. As I told you, if you want to make it as integer, suffix with L, it is going to be A equal to 10L. See that? If I write A equal to 10, print the value of A. Yesterday I told you how to print the value of A. Either you print A or either you print A, like this also. No need to say print A, no need to say print B. Simple say A. Observe carefully, output is coming like a 10 only. We are not getting like 10.00. Isn't it? Even if you say A equal to 10 or 10L also, your output will be same output as it is. No difference at all, guys. There is nothing different at all. Even if you write 10, even if you write 10L, the result is output is same, because both of them are integers. Okay, both of them are integers. Now if you can observe carefully, now you ask what is going to be type of the A. Now observe carefully, I already said A equal to 10. Here it is a double, but after that I said 10L. So print the value of A. It will be printed as L. It will be printed as a 10. And now if you can see, sorry, it is what is going to be type of is the name of the function, guys. See, guys, very carefully. case, we have got some kind of a warning message, not an error. It is a warning message. Whenever I say L, it is going to be nothing but what we can say is, whenever we say L, it is nothing but integer type. Then what happened now? It is saying that integer literal 10.35 contains decimal values using some numerical value. So now we find out what is the A contains. So your A is going to contain, which is going to be nothing but scroll down, and you can see 10.35. And what is the type of the which is going to be? If I say what is type of the A, we can see that it is going to be double. So it is saying that. So according to your specification, it should be an integer type, but it contains a decimal value. That's why I'm going to treat it as a double type. But the point is, so don't think that if I use L, it becomes an integer. So if you have an integer value suffix with L, then it is an integer value. Otherwise, it will be decimal value. If I don't use the L, or if I use a decimal point or something like that and use the L, it is going to be nothing but it's a double type only. It's a double data type, what we can see there. So once again, it's going to be simple. I'm going to clear the screen. You can just quickly, we can do it, guys. So use a different option. A equal to which is going to be 10L, B equal to which is going to be 20.45, C is equal to, for example, if it is going to be hello, double quotes or single quotes, anything is fine. D is equal to which is going to be true, E is equal to nothing but it is F false. So I declare totally 5 variables I declare here, guys. If you want, we can print the value of A, it will be printed as 10. Print the value of B, it is going to be printed as 20.45. Print the value of C, it will print it as hello. Print the value of D, it will print it as true. Print the value of E, it is going to be printed as, it is going to be false. So 10, 20.45, hello, true and false. So this is the data what we can see. Whatever the data you have given, so even if I give T also, it is treating it as a true only, guys, but it is not treating it as a T. It is going to be T stands for true, F stands for which is going to be false. Now as usually we can ask it, guys, what is type of the A? No doubt, it is an integer. What is the type of the B? No doubt, it is a double. What is the type of the C? Yes, it is going to be something like M. What we can say, guys, it is a character, not a string, it's a character. What is going to be type of C? It is going to, sorry, T. It is going to be, generally we call it as Boolean, but here we are going to call it as logical, we are going to call it as. What is going to be type of the, which is going to be, sorry, it is going to be type of the, which is going to be, I said E, that is also going to be written as logical only. So these are the mainly the 4 types we are going to work in our language, guys. It is very simple, integer, double, character, and which is going to be nothing but logical. So these are the 4 cases or the 4 different types of data types which we work in the R language, guys. That's it, guys. Only these are the things which we have to work with them. Apart from that, we don't have, there are different data structures are there, but there are not data types. These are going to be what we call it as the different types of data types, what we can call it as. So this is all about the concept of how can you work with the basic, the types, whatever we can have it. Double quotes, single quotes, anything is fine. I said A equal to single quotes, let us say welcome also, it is going to be fine. But one important point is, if you start with double quotes, end with double quotes. If you start with single quotes, end with single quotes. But it is not like different cases. Don't start with double quotes and don't try to end with the single quotes. So as I said that, you can use anything. So don't think that you can start with double quotes and with single quotes. You have to start with anything, you have to start with double quotes and with the double quotes. If you start with single quotes and with the single quotes only, guys. Okay? But both of them are same only, no difference at all. Sorry. It is going to be type of which is going to be A and which is going to be what is going to be type of which is going to be B. Both of them characters, A or B, both of sorry, A or B, both of them are going to be displaying hello and welcome. In double quotes only it is displaying the data. See there? It is coming in double quotes but not in single quotes. We given single quotes but output will come in double quotes. Like that, we can just work with this kind of a data types, guys. That's it, guys. These are going to be some of the basic data types which R is going to be supported. Right, guys? Anybody? Any questions, guys, here? Anyone? Any questions if you have?
Instead of that, we do type a dynamic script language. So instead of we type it like A equal to 10.
We define the data, we declare the data type. Our language will automatically choose the data type.
So instead of A equal to 10 of A equal to 10. If we find out what it is, it is an integer
equal to 10. Then you have to use a function called as a type of A. It will tell you what type of data type it is.
So instead of a type of A, we can write type of hello bracket 10.
Yeah, you can write it, no problem. Type of 10, you can write, see, any value, either variable or value, anything is fine. So you can directly use it. Yesterday already we discussed, right? Just a minute. Yesterday I clearly told you, which is going to be nothing but, just a second. Yeah, yesterday what we discussed, I said you can write which is going to be 10 plus 20, output will come. Same as it is, you said A equal to 10, B equal to 20. And if you said which is going to be A plus B, output will be the same output only as usual 30. Same as it is, you can also generally see, generally whenever I said 10, so generally you are giving a value there, automatically you can understand that generally we don't prefer to do that. So even you can pass 10 also, we can pass it, it does not matter. And if you want to check which is going to be 10L, it is going to be integer value. Just we are putting into one variable and you are using it, directly we can use a value also, does not matter. Okay, fine. Next, anybody guess?
Again, there are printf here, what are some?
Right? We don't have printf. Printf is going to be depends on your language. So printf it is going to be, it is not going to be works in our language. Print is going to work. Printf is going to be C statement. It is going to be printf is going to be comes under the C language. Here in the, for example, if you go to Java, it is system.out.println. For example, in Python also it is print statement. Our language is print statement. So it depends on the language. Printf is not a part of your R language. It is a part of your C language. Right? It depends on one language to another language. It's not the same statement. In C language, whenever you want to print it, if you go to C language, generally in the C language we'll say printf. For example, if you go to Java, then it is going to be it's a little bit different. System dot which is going to be out dot which is going to be println. In our language, it is going to be in our language. It is going to be simple. It is going to be print. That's it. Whatever the value you want to print, you have to print it. So in our language, we don't have a printf statement. We get an error. Even if you try to use it also, you can say very clearly, could not find the function called as a printf in our language. Right? Right. Anybody guess? Any other questions? Okay. So just let us go ahead. Just before going to the next concept, it's not mandatory. We don't work with that. But as I told you, our language is mainly designed for which people. It is not for computer science people. It is mostly for mathematicians. It was designed. Mostly our language is used for mathematicians. Generally, in our mathematics, as you know that in our maths, normally we use integers and floats. Generally, we are going to use. Generally, apart from that, sometimes it is a little bit in advanced maths. We are going to use something called as complex numbers. Hope you remember this. Maybe almost all not in the school level, but when you go to college level, you will be using some complete examples of complex numbers. And apart from that, even if you go to some technical courses also, we are going to be using these complex numbers. Mostly in some kind of a technical courses, you will be using. So what is a complex number? Complex number contains 2 things: one real value and one imaginary value. 2 values will be there. See, that's just an example, guys. It is not a mandatory. We don't use it, but just I'm telling that because mainly this R language is mainly designed for. It is mainly designed for mathematical problems. They also support the type of data types also. See there, it is going to be A equal to 2 plus 3i. So here 2 is nothing but the real value and 3 is nothing but the imaginary value. It's an imaginary value. Why? Because I represents square root of -1. all of you guys, if you have any questions, please clarify them. We'll go to the next discussion, guys.
Okay, no questions, sir.
Yeah, no questions. Okay, fine. Anybody else, guys? Okay. Now I'm going to start with, okay, up to now we have seen integers, floats, strings, whatever you have will work. But we know that integer means it is a single numerical value. Double is a numerical value. String, okay, fine, it's a character string. But whenever you want to work with combined, so generally, as part of our data analytics and all these things, generally we don't work with the single values, we generally work with multiple values, right? So with single value, what type of analytics we'll do? We can't do any analysis on that. At least if we have some set of values are there, then we can perform some kind of an analytics on that particular data. So that is what basically we want to do it here now. So that means whenever we want to hold multiple values, then what we have to do? That. So further, what we are going to be doing here is, guys, we are having some different type of, which is going to be some different types of data structures are there, guys. That means what we can say is data structure means they are not. We can also call them as data types. We should not call them as the data types, guys, but because they are not representing. So what type of data you want to store? For example, integer means it is saying that it is going to be storing an integer value. We are talking about the data type, but these are what we call it as data structures. Why? Because they don't define the type of the data you want to store, but they are going to represent what way you are going to store these values, guys. So how to represent some values, how to store this particular set of values. It's not like a single value. Generally, single values are what we call it as scalar types. Scalar types means only single value will be there, guys. Then what is going to be nothing but we are going to call it as these are the different data structures. So every language is having these data structures, guys. Every language will almost all have their own data structures will be there. Same as it is, your R is also going to be having some different type of data structures are going to be there, guys. There are different type of data structures. What are the purpose of the data structures? Whenever you want to store multiple values at a time, or whenever you want to represent multiple values at a time, then we are going to be having a different type of data structures we are going to be having, guys. So these are what we call it as data structures in our language. Okay. There are different types are there, but for all of them, one basic data structure is there. First, we have to study the basic data structure. What is that? It is going to be nothing but what we are going to call it as a vector. So normally, you remember in mathematics, in physics, we are going to be working with something called as vectors. We are going to do that, isn't it? And we have been working with this particular vector calculation, the vector which is going to be we used to work with them. So in graph theory, we used to work with the vectors. So it is going to be almost all the same thing, guys. What is a vector? Simple, guys. The basic and the standard, which is one of the basic data structure in our language, is vector, guys. What is a vector? A vector is going to be nothing but a very simple, a collection of which is going to be very simple, a collection of which is going to be homogeneous elements. It is going to be or which is going to be similar types of elements or same type of elements. Better to say that it is going to be same type of elements. What we can say that. That means all the elements in the vector should be of the same type, guys. That means all of them should be integers. If all of them are integers, then we are going to call it as an. Yes, yeah, Jitendra. Yes, any question? Yes, Jitendra, you have raised your hand. Any question? Normally, in other languages, in our language we don't have any difference. In other languages, whenever I say character means a single character. Generally, we know that, right? What is the meaning of a character? Single alphabet. What do you mean to say about the string? String is going to be nothing but what is a string? A string is going to be nothing but what we call it as a collection of characters, isn't it? What is a string? A string is going to be nothing but collection of characters. It is going to be hello. But normally in other languages, strings are generally enclosed in double quotes. Whenever there is a single character, generally we use single quotes. But in our language, we don't have that kind of a strings. It is only character. Whether it is a single character also it is same. Whether it is a multiple character also it is the same. See that? S is equal to, for example, S1 is equal to, I said A. Whenever I said S2 is equal to, it is going to be apple, for example. Normally in other languages, strings are need to be enclosed within double quotes. But here there is no confusion at all. S3 is equal to, let's say it is B. I am enclosing within double quotes. Double quotes, single quotes, it does not matter. S4 is equal to, it is going to be, let us say, I am saying that it is going to be, let us say, 4. Now if you see S1, S2, S3, S4, all of them are going to be displayed in the same way. It is going to be same. Say, what is going to be type of the S1? Type of the S1 is equal to nothing but, sorry, type of, it is going to be. Type of S1 is going to be character. What is going to be type of S2 also is going to be character. What is going to be type of which is going to be S3? That is also going to be character. What is going to be type of S4? That is also going to be character. All of them are going to be characters only. Nothing different is there. Okay, so this is going to be all about the concept of how we are going to be working with this particular one. So in our language there is no difference is there, but in other language we have a difference is there. Right? Right. I think probably right. Fine. Anybody else? Any more questions? Anyone? Okay. Now let us go ahead, guys. So the next concept we are trying to discuss is vectors. What is a vector? Same as it is in our mathematics, whatever we have been seeing the vectors. Here also the same thing, guys. Collection of which is going to be same type of elements. How do you create a vector? Okay. If it contains, for example, if all of them are integers, generally we call it as integer vector. If it is contain all of them are strings, then we call it as string vector or character vector. If it contains all of them are going to be float doubles, it is called as a double vector. If all of them are going to be something like a logical, it is called as a logical vector. So all of them should be of the same type of data type. We cannot have one number, one string, or one integer, one double, one boolean. We cannot have like that. Okay. Have a look at that. How to create a vector? Very, very simple, guys. To create a vector, what we have to do, guys? To create a vector, use a function called as, very, very simple, guys. A function called as, the function name is going to be nothing but C. See the function name, a single character C. That's it. C of whatever the values you want to give it, guys. Value 1, value 2, value 3. You can give as many values you can give, guys. There is no restriction in giving the values. If you want, you can assign it to one variable. If you print it on the screen, instead of putting on the screen, you assign it to one variable, guys. So whenever you want to create a vector, simple what you have to do is, guys, use a function called as C. What is C basically stands for? C stands for combine. So what is the C stand for, guys? It is going to be combine. Combine all the values into one single representation. You can assign to one variable, guys. See, guys, how I'm going to define this particular application now? Just clear the screen once. Now what I'm going to say now, guys. Previously we used to say A equal to 10. You cannot say A equal to 10, 20. This is not allowed, guys. You can't do this. If you want to represent multiple values, A equal to C of, I can say 10L, 20L. Not only L. That means I want to go for integer, guys. 10L, 20L, which is going to be, otherwise you can say 1, 2, 3, 4L, which is going to be 45L, let's say 50L, or which is going to be something 23L. See this, and we can represent it, guys. See that? It is going to be A. Multiple values. What is the type of the A? Yes, it is going to be an integer. Observe carefully. It is not saying that I was a vector. Vector is only just what we, what is the vector stand for? Vector is going to be nothing but a data structure, but not a data type. It won't decide what going to be what is going to be type of the A, it does not say that it is going to be an integer, but it says that it is going to be a double type. It is going to be nothing but what we are going to call it as a double type, what we are going to call it as. So something like this, we can just work with any kind of a types, we can work with this. If I put all of them are characters, then it is going to be nothing but we get it as a character vector. If I give all of them as a logical, then we are going to be getting a logical type. Like that, you have to give the similar type only, but collection of values. It is not like a single representation. We can represent multiple values, we can represent it. That is the way how we can do that. But maybe some of you will get it out. The main doubt is, so if I give multiple values, but if I don't give the same type, for example, let us say that if I say x is equal to, for example, c of u function as c of 10L 20.45, let us say what is true and I said which is going to be hello. Then what is going to happen now? What is going to happen now? Will it throw any error? No, it does not throw any error. Sorry, true need to be written in capital. Sorry, yes, it's a problem with the true. Okay, let me write it as true. So it is going to be true. So if we can observe carefully, we didn't get any error at all, yes. So when you don't get the error, so how can you say that then it is accepting an integer, it is accepting a double, it is accepting a character and a boolean logical value? Then how it is going to work? Then what it will do is, guys, internally our language will convert all of them into the same type of data type. All of them will be converted into the same type. Even if you are given an integer, a double, a logical, and a string or character, it won't take 4 into 4 different type of data types. All of them are converted into one type. How it will convert? There is a priority is there, guys. The first priority always goes to strings, that is characters. Remember, guys, the first priority according to the priorities and according to the priority it is going to work, guys. So what are these particular priorities? First priority is always for which is going to be character. That means if there is any character is there, it always try to prefer to convert into characters. The second preference is going to be for double. The third preference is going to be for which is going to be integer, and the final and the least preference is for which is going to be nothing but the logical. That means whenever it contains a set of elements are there, if there is any characters inside that, always first prefer to convert into character. For example, if there is no character, second preference is going to be for double, convert all of them into double. If there is no double data type, then it is going to next preference goes to integers. That means if I have a character, double, integer, logical, first preference goes to character. If I have a double, integer, logical, then first preference goes to double. If there is an integer and logical, first preference goes to integer. Like that, it will be converted. So in this case, what happens now? All of them are going to be converted into, if you can see, all of them are going to be converted into characters. Even you say what is going to be type of x, and you can see very clearly 10 is not like a 10 enclosed in double quotes, 20.45 enclosed in double quotes, true is enclosed in double quotes, and always also enclosed in the double quotes. No. Yeah, you can treat the vectors like an arrays concept only. We can see that in other languages we call them as arrays. Here also we have the arrays, but those arrays are a little bit different in our language. But you can treat it as arrays only. But normal in other languages is, in other languages, generally whenever we are representing an array, what generally we say, x is equal to integer of 10, we have to specify. Generally we represent like this. That means we have to specify all the 10 values as integer only. All the 10 values as integer. If I use some other data type, we'll get an error. But here it is not like that. Even if you give it also, all of them are going to be converted into one common data type. Okay, so that is going to be what the main difference between the other arrays and this one case. And one more thing is we are going to specify the size there. 10 means only 10 only. But here it is not like that. You can give as many you can give it. So it is not a limited size, it's not a fixed size. You can give as many, whatever the sizes you require, we can give it. It's not a mandatory. Okay, fine guys. Now come here. Okay, let us come to the discussion. See that all of them are converted into characters. For example, the same example, if I remove the character now, then who is going to get the next preference? The next preference goes to double type. Then if we can find out what is going to be x, all of them are going to be treated as a double data type. See that 20.45 is 20.45, 10 is going to be 10.00, true is also converted into 1.00. Even true, because true need to be converted into number. Remember, true means generally it will be converted into 1, and false are generally converted into which is going to be zeros. For example, if I put a false case, guys, if I put false, so how the false is going to be gets converted? Sorry. False. So it is going to be. So generally we work. Generally I work very frequently with Python. Our language is a very rare cases. I generally work on them. Even I was an expert in R. Very rarely I'm going to work on R. Just like you guys, like how SAS trainings. Those will be. I generally deal with R. So in Python, generally we have a true in the T capital case and RU in the lower case. And even if you find out when you're writing type of also, sometimes very frequent I'm writing T by T, only type I'm writing it. Why? Because in Python it is same. Python and our languages are very similar languages, guys. In Python we call it as T by P type, just only type function. Whereas in our language we'll say type of. In Python we are having true T capital and RU in the lower case. So just we work very frequently with that type. So being we are habituated with that, generally sometimes I like some kind of Python related statements will like it. Okay. Like so look at the X now. So all of them are going to be gets converted into which is going to be a double type. Even if you ask what is going to be type of, it is going to be type of. It's a case sensitive case. Type of should be written only in the lower case only, not in the capital case. What is going to be type of the X? You can see that there are going to be doubles. So true is converted into 1 and false is converted into zeros. And see that 10 is going to be 10.00, 20.45. For example, if I don't have a double, that means if I remove the double, then there are only integers and there are only logical. Then what happens now? All of them are going to be converted into an integer value. See that? In the earlier case, 10 is 10.00, true is 1.00, false is 0.00. But here it is not like that. You can see 10 is going to be, you can see 10 is going to be 10, true is 1, false is going to be 0. That's the case. Now, if I don't have the, for example, if I don't have the, which is going to be this one, then there is no need of conversion. Why there is no need of conversion? Both of them are logical only. So what is type of the X? You can see that it is going to be nothing but what we can see is it is going to be a logical vector. So vectors are going to be nothing but what we can see is a collection of which is going to be whatever the type you require. The collection of the same type you have to require. Even if I give a different types also, even if I give some integers, floats, doubles, etc., by default they will be converted into one common data type according to the preference. Like according to the preference is going to be nothing but first is for characters, second is for double, third one is for the integers, and fourth one is going to be for which is going to be the logical. Actually, I told you don't require it, isn't it? Complex is not required for us. If I include the complex also, for example, if I include the complex type also, what happens now? Let me show you once. If I include the complex type also, let me include all of them. Okay, it is going to be false. False we have to written it like this. False, and for example, it is 3 plus which is going to be 4j or I. Now what happens? You see that there is a float, there is an integer, there is a double, there is a character, there is a logical, there is a complex. First preference is always for which is going to be string only. That is character. See that all of them are going to be converted into characters. Even 3 plus 4i also converted into character only. When I don't have a string, the next preference is for complex. Basically, we don't use the complex. That's why I did written the complex in the priority. But actually, the second priority is for complex. All of them are converted into complex type. So 10 is converted into 10 plus 0i. 20.45 is converted into 20.45j plus which is going to be 0i. True is converted into 1 plus 0i. False is converted to 0 plus 0i. And obviously 3 plus 4i. All of them are going to be get converted into. We can see that all of them are going to be converted into complex type only. See that? So 10.00 plus which is 0i. 20.45 plus 0i. 1.00 plus which is 0i. 0.00 plus 0i. 3 plus 0 plus which is going to be 4i is an output what we can see. So like that, it is going to be gets converted. If I don't have a complex, then next priority is for double. If I don't have a double, next priority is for which is going to be what we can say about integer, and the least and the last priority is for logical types. So according to that, the conversion is going to be taken place. For example, if I have a boolean, if I have a logical, and if I have a character, first preference does not go to logical. First preference will go to which is going to be character. Character is not converted into logical. Logical will be converted into which is going to be character, guys. So that is the basic way how it is going to be gets working in that. Okay. So this is the first thing which we have to know how to create them, guys. Okay. Once we have created them, what is the next and the most important point, guys? The next and most important point is after creating that whatever the vector or whatever it may be, how to get the element from that particular vector. That is what we call it as indexing, or what we are going to call them as slicing. We call it as indexing or slicing is the technique which we are going to be gets working with them, guys. So once again I'm saying it is what we are going to call it as an indexing or a slicing technique. What we are going to call it as two techniques we are going to work with them. A very important, guys. So you should always all of you have to work very confidently with this. But because this is very important for us, without having this we cannot work with them, guys. Okay, without having this we cannot work with them. What is the particular idea about that? Okay, easy to understand. I'll do one thing, guys. Easy to understand. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Totally there are going to be how many elements are there? 10 elements. Even if you want, we can also find the length. How many elements are there? There is a function called as length of x is going to be there, guys. So length is a function. So remember, guys, R is a language where we are going to work everything with the help of the functions only we are going to do, guys. We don't write our own logics. We don't write our own code. We don't write any functionalities. For everything, there is a predefined function will be there. You have to work with the predefined functions. That's it. Okay. So simple. Whenever you want to perform an operation, just now I shown you previously. If you want to know what is the type of that particular element it is or what type of object it is, simply we said that it is going to be type of. It will tell you what is going to be type of is a function. Now there is another function called the length function. If you want to find the length of the number of elements, simply use the length function, guys. Very clearly it is saying that it is 10. Now observe carefully, guys. Very easy, guys. How to get the fifth element? So very easy and simple, guys. I want to get fifth element. That is what we call it as indexing. Normally, if you have worked with arrays or something like that in other languages, similar to them, guys, I want to get the first element. But in most of the languages, index starts from 0. First element means 0 is the index. But here, index does not start with 0. Index will start with 1. Very simple. First element is first, second element is second, last element is last. That's it. That means we can get it. So what we have to do, guys? So see there, very easy and very simple. This is your x. I want to get the fifth element. See there, guys. It is going to be x of which is going to be 5. We are going to get the fifth element like this, guys. Very easy, guys. Which element you require? It is going to be x of 5. I want to get the fifth element. If you want to get the first element, it is going to be x of 1. If you want to get the last element, it is going to be x of. I know there are 10 elements are there. Otherwise, you can also use length of the x also. We can use anything because I don't know what is going to be the last element. So I know that there is a 10. 10 elements are there. 10. If 100 elements are there, 100. Here it is going to be nothing but simple. What it is, I just said which is going to be x of length of the x. Last element will come next. This is normally anybody can say that it is x of 1, x of 2, x of 3, x of 6. It is going to be the sixth element we are going to be getting here now. Okay. Now the most important here is, guys, all these are very easy, but main important is it is going to be nothing but what we are going to call it as. This is indexing. What is meaning of indexing? Indexing is going to be nothing but getting only one element is there. It is nothing but getting a single element. Whenever we want to get a single element from that particular vector, we are going to use that particular vector, just whatever the vector is there, just in square brackets, just we have to specify the what is going to be the position. It is going to be nothing but what is the position. Position is nothing but whatever the position of the particular element, which starts from 1 to which is going to be n minus 1. There is another technique called as slicing. You know what is meaning of a slice? Slice means nothing but a piece. For example, I have a cake is there. Now I'm asking, I want to have a slice. So how much slice you require? So from here to here. From here to here, I require this slice. Or I require half of the slice or quarter of the slice. Here also, guys, it is very simple technique. It is going to be there. What is going to be the technique is very simple. Whatever the vector is there, just we have to specify what is going to be the starting, what is going to be the starting, colon, where you want to stop. So where you want to start and where you want to stop. Simple. Starting, colon, and what is going to be stop. Simply if you specify that, that is sufficient, guys. It will start from the given whatever the position you require, and I want to get the which is going to be up to the stop. For example, your x is an element 1 is to 5. That means it is going to start from the first element and goes up to the fifth element. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are going to get the 5 elements. We are going to get it, guys. It is going to be 5, which is going to be 1 to 5, which is going to be including 1, including 5. So you can just play with these kind of an examples, guys. See there? I'm going for a slicing here now. This is going to be x of which is going to be 1 is to 5. You are going to get the which is going to be the first 5 elements. It is going to be x of which is going to be 5 is to. Just an example, guys. So we have to specify what is the ending position. Simply if you specify starting, it is not possible. 5 is to 10. We have to specify. If I said is to 5 it is going to be, don't think that it is going to start from the beginning automatically. So we have to specify both starting position as well as which is going to be the ending position. We have to specify, guys. So wherever you want to start and wherever you want to end. This is what we are going to call it as a slicer. It is nothing but slicing technique, guys. So slicing means nothing but a piece. Indexing means getting only one element is going to be there. So here only we are having a different options are there, guys. Look at this. For example, normally we know that what is going to be x of 5. What is meaning of x of 5? We know that it is going to be fifth element. Now what is going to be x of minus 5? See the beauty of this, guys. X of which is going to be minus 5. What is meaning of minus 5 means except the fifth element, remaining elements will come, guys. Except excluding the 5, without including the 5, remaining element. That means except the 50, remaining elements will come here, guys. See that? You can see the output 10, 20, 30, 40 was there, but there is no 50 was there. 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 is there. So whatever the elements you require, you have to specify. Whatever the elements you don't require, then simply you have to specify as a negative position, guys. Then you might get it out. Sir, how can you get the first element and the fifth element? I want to get the not 1 to 5. 1 to 5 means it is 1 is to 5. This is very easy. 1 is to 5 means we can get the first 2 to 5. But how can you get the which is going to be 1, 5? So same technique, guys. 1, 5. But you cannot write like directly like this. It's not possible. Then what you have to do is remember, guys, this C is a function which is very frequently used. So x of it is nothing but 1, 5 is nothing but collection of two elements only, right? So C of 1, 5. This is the way we have to use it, guys. So what we are doing is same as it is. Instead of writing x of 5 and x of 5 separately, x of C of 1, 5. So I told you now what is C stands for combine. So it is going to combine 1 by 1, 5 into a vector. Observe carefully. X is a vector. We are getting the element from that particular vector by using another vector. See there? First and the fifth element is going to come. If I said minus C, minus 1, minus 5, not minus C, you cannot write minus C here. Even minus C is also working, guys. C of minus C of which is going to be 1, 5. What is meaning of minus C of 1, 5? Except the first and the fifth element, remaining elements are going to be gets coming. Or even you can also write it as C of it is minus 1, minus 5. Anything is a fine case, guys. So see, guys, multiple options we are having. Either this way or either this way. Anything is a fine case. take only the first 5-10 records, or I want to take only the last 10 records, or I want to take some middle which is 50 records, I want to find it off. Then in the cases, we have to use this technique of slicing technique. Indexing we don't use that much frequently, guys, but slicing is a technique which we are going to use as very frequently we are going to use. So it needs to be a good practice on this, guys. Must ensure you have to have a practice on this. Okay, so if you have a good practice on that, we can get a more and more control on that. Very good practice and good understanding about this slicing technique. Okay, you can take as many examples. It need not to be sequence of numbers only, guys. You can take as many numbers you can take it. Let's say 20, 34, 23, 12, 89, 67, 34, 55. Okay, not a problem. 35, I'll take it 35. So I just want to take a non-repeated number. Does not matter. 60, something like a 75. Let's say 25. Something numbers, whatever you want. We can give 10. Let's say single digit 5, single digit 1. So you give as many numbers you can give it, guys. This is your x. What is going to be the length of the x? You can see that there are 13 elements are there. First 5 elements. X of which is going to be 1:5. Last 5 elements. How to get the last 5 elements, guys? I know the 13. 13 minus 5, which is going to be nothing but 8. It is going to be 8:2, which is going to be 13, guys. Sorry, I think it is going to be minus because 6 elements are coming. 13 minus. So actually 5 minus, which is going to be 5 elements we are going to be getting, which is going to be 5 minus 1 plus 1. It is going to be. It is 9 minus 9:13. It is going to be. So 5 elements will come. If it is 9:13 means we are going to be getting. So 8:13 means we are going to be getting because it is including that particular position, right? So 13 elements are there. 13 minus 5, which is going to be nothing but 13 minus 5 is going to be 13 minus 5 is going to be 8, guys. But you have to start from 9 because if you include the 8, we get 6 elements. We get it. So start from 9. 9:13. What we can see. The last 5 elements, whatever you want. Something like that. From anywhere you can get it as 3. Starting from 3, we want to get which is going to be 5 elements. 3 plus 5, it is 8. But you have to go up to 7 only. Well, but 3 to 8 means we get which is going to be 6 elements will come. Isn't it? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6 elements will come. So it is going to be 3:7 because including 3, including 7. If it is not including the 7, then we have to go up to 8. We have to go. But it's including the 7, right? So these are the sub 5 elements what we can see. Very easy, guys, and very simple also. We can work with them. Very easily we can work with them. It is going to be I want to get the first element and the last element, for example. So C of which is going to be 1 comma, which is going to be I know that there are 13 are there. So it is going to be x of 1 comma C of 13, 1 comma 13. Except these two remaining elements I want to get. It is minus of C of which is going to be 1 comma 13. Except the first and except the last element, remaining will come. Guess what is the last element? 1. First element 34. Except the 34 and except the 1, remaining elements are going to be x comma. Got it, guys? So this is the basic understanding of how we can work with this slicer technique itself. So slicing and indexing is going to be one of the important. And one more thing, guys. This slicing technique is not only over with vectors concept. In next objects like list we'll see, matrix we'll see, data frames we'll see. Everywhere we are going to see the techniques, guys. Okay. So for today's class, what I have got discussed is how to find out the data, how to define your variables, and how to find out the data types from one data type to so how to create the variables and how to find out what type of data types there are. So simple, it is going to be a function called as, which is going to be a type of. Type of is a function which will help you to find out what type of object it is or what type of data type it is. Okay. And one more thing is how to create a vector. So vector is nothing but a collection of which is going to be homogeneous types, similar types only. Even if I don't give a similar type, they will be converted into one common type. They will be converted with some priority. Highest priority is always for characters. Second priority is only for which is complex. If complex is there, generally we don't use a complex. Next priority is for double. Next is for integers, and finally it is going to be what we can say that it is a logical. So this is going to be about the concept of how we are going to be working with that. So that is a basic target about that. Okay. And apart from that, how to go for indexing. Indexing means getting one element, guys. If I said 1, we'll get first element. Minus 1 means except the first element, remaining elements will come. It minus stands for excluding, guys. Excluding the first position, remaining we have to get it. Same as it is. If you want to get a set of elements, you have to say C of 1 comma 10. 1 comma 10 means first and 10th will come. But if you want to get 1 to 10, you want to get 1:10, we have to write it. So that is the way how basically we can slice this particular data, guys. Okay. So this is the basic idea about that. And even you can also write it as in reverse order also we can write. It is going to be 1:5. Just a second. Just give me a second. So it is going to be nothing but what we can write it off. It is going to be I can say which is going to be 5:1. Reverse order also, guys. It is going to be 5:1. So in the reverse order we can get it. Like that, it is going to be up to you. Whatever you want, we can get it. 13:9 we can say that. So the same elements previously, whatever we have written, 9:13, that is going to be coming in the reverse order. What we can say 1 to 75. Here it is 75 to 1, guys. Reverse order also we can get it. Okay. So automatically, guys, if it is lower value to higher value, it is increment by 1. 1 to 5 means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 to 1 means it is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It is going to be like that. It is going to become automatically in the reverse orders. Okay. So just a little bit practice is required, guys. Just once if you do the practice, then you can understand all these kind of techniques we can work. Okay. So that's it for this particular week, guys. So next week, because we are in beginning, we are in the basics, guys. 1 or 2 weeks we'll go a little bit slowly up to the list, matrix, data frames. We'll go a little bit slowly, guys. 1 or 2 weeks it will take it. And after that, then we are going to start with how can you read the data from CSV files, how to read the data from Excel sheets, how to read the data from which is going to be some different files, doing some analytics, and all these things we are going to discuss in the coming weeks. We discuss about that. Okay. So that's it for this week. That's it for the today's class, guys. If you have any questions, I can just take up some questions and then we can end up the session, guys. Right. Anybody? Any questions if you have, guys? Yes. Yep. Yes. Srinath. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Can you make it clear? I was unable to hear it properly.
R is a case sensitive, right?
R is a case sensitive language, right?
Okay. Okay, then create a vector in small case x.
Capital case X. That means, see, what is meaning of case sensitive means, see, some words are there. So I'll tell you. Let me show you the screen once again. So that means that if I give x is equal to, if I said C of or whatever, maybe vector or whatever it may be. So I said x equal to 10. Don't say capital X. Capital X is different, lowercase x is different. X is equal to 20. Now see, print if I said x, I'll print get 10. If I print capital X, we are going to be getting 20. So whenever you are working with your variables, capital X is different, lowercase x is different. But when it comes to keywords, whenever we talk about the keywords in the R language, type of is there. Type of is a function which works only in the lowercase only. If I write type of A, it is not going to work. This is not going to work. Okay. So predefined keywords must be whatever the case they have defined, we have to follow the same case. Okay. And whenever we are working with your variables, capital case, lowercase, both of them are going to be different, but both of them are allowed. Even see, I'm not saying that every function is going to be in the lowercase only. Sometimes some functions are going to be given in capital case. But if you define a capital case, use capital case only. If you define a lowercase, use lowercase only. But it is not that you have to always write only the lowercase. It is not. It is a case sensitive. Meaning that is, if you write capital case only. If it is lowercase, lowercase only. That is the difference with that. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Sir, provide notes, sir. I will give you today's notes, and today's notes I'll share it with the Stansis team. They will share it with the group. Right. Any other sales, guys? Okay. So just for today, we'll end up the session for today, guys. We'll continue on the next week. Same timing, 9:30 to 10:45. We'll take it in the next week, guys. Saturday and Sunday, we'll complete off all the remaining basic data structures, list, matrix, and we have something called as the data frames. We'll complete all the basics. Then we'll start with our a little bit advanced concepts CSV, Excel sheets, even SAS files also we can extend, we can read the data. How to work with them, we'll see that application in the coming weeks, guys. Okay, so that's it for the today's, this week, guys. We'll end it for the today, and we'll continue in the next week, guys. Thanks a lot, guys.